You know what I think about the guy who says he doesn't need a Porsche because his Volvo gets the job done? He secretly dreams of the Porsche, but he's afraid he can't handle the power. So he deflects his insecurity by telling a lie so bad it fact-checks itself, that he's perfectly happy with the Volvo. Anti-gun people tell me all the time they just don't like guns. They claim they don't need them. They're perfectly happy with government protection, and I should be too. You know what that says about you? It says that you want to be subservient. You're afraid of the power that firearms represent because deep down in your heart, it reminds you of the truth, that you are on your own. Don't give me this BS that it's progressive to hate the idea of owning a firearm. That thinking is straight out of the Middle Ages. You must wish that you can go back and live then without all this freedom stuff, when whether you lived or died depended on whether your king woke up hungover again. It has nothing to do with the gun for you. You just don't want the responsibility. You're like LeBron in year one with the Heat, too afraid to have the ball with the game on the line. You'd rather pass off your power to someone else and leave your life in their hands. Let the government handle it. Let Obama handle it. Let the police handle it. It makes you uncomfortable to see people like me embracing my Second Amendment rights. You hate that women are going to gun stores and gun ranges in record numbers, that young professionals are signing up for concealed carry classes in huge numbers, because every person who embraces their power only exposes you as backwards and ignorant, and ultimately reliant upon responsible, powerful people like them for your safety. But there's still hope for you. Come out to a gun range, ask someone for help. Just like I've never seen someone get behind the wheel of a Porsche and claim they didn't enjoy the power, there isn't a person on earth who can't honestly say they didn't feel a rush of freedom and empowerment when they got behind a firearm and pulled the trigger. Even if just for a moment. Think about it this way. You were born into one of the only societies in the history of the world that honors your right to live this free. You're really gonna let your own insecurities stop you from feeling a level of power almost no other human could have dreamed of, ever? Come on, man. You're a free person, aren't you? Chris Costa.
See your sights, track your sights.
I say that name fully aware that every word after it is a waste of time, because love him or hate him, you have an opinion on him, and it ain't changing. Put me in the love camp. Those dynamic videos were like a roadmap for me as a new shooter. I'm part of the generation of gun culture that owes itself in large part to what Chris and crew did 10 years ago. So I've been trying to find an excuse to use Noir to go train with them for years now, but I wanted to do something different. Maybe you remember my friend Antanique from way back in season 1. Flower child, fitness trainer, and oh so very anti-gun. Funny how 2 years and one new beautiful baby girl can change your mind. These days, Antanique isn't nearly so opposed to big, scary devices that can keep her daughter safe. So I brought her with me to Wyoming to train with one of the best.
Brett! All right, safety back on. Okay, see how your finger flicked off the trigger? I'm gonna help and prevent that for the next shot. I'm not gonna pull the trigger for you, you're gonna do it. Easy. All right, came out a little bit quick. Easy, straight back, good. Reset, perfect. Now, if you don't wanna shoot, come off. All right, let's go down and check it. Okay, we still have some work to do, fundamentally, right? Some of the ones that you did in the beginning, I believe these were some of your beginning ones, and then I think this is us narrowing it down. There was a couple times where you did a really good job of, you took the slack out of the trigger, I could feel you coming down, you settled, then you brought it back and fired.
Like, I feel very, like,
Tight.
Yeah.
Should I be, or?
You need to be more relaxed in this case. I need you to melt into the earth.
Okay.
Now, if you're tense, you're not doing that.
I think my body's anticipating that kickback on my.
Okay, which would make sense based on what we're seeing. When we have somebody that has an anticipation of the shot problem, some theory is that let the shot surprise you. The problem that I have with that is on a critical or surgical shot that you need to take, I need to know right when the trigger is about to break, because if I let a shot surprise me and now I'm having to take a critical shot and I ran to get there, like for a cop who's dealing with an active shooter, runs 200 yards to get into a JCPenney's, sees the guy, he's 50 yards away, this is his moment, target's foreground and background is good to go, and his dot's doing this. If he ends up having a surprised break, he could break it at the wrong time and miss a shot, which means that he has to know right when that shot's about to go off. What it comes down to is predictability. So I believe that if you know right when the trigger's about to go off, right when the shot's about to break, then you won't have an anticipation of the shot. All right, you ready, Ant?
I'm ready.
Okay. Work those fundamentals. I'll know if you're doing it or not, so take your time.
What do you think is the ultimate symbol of power? It's the first thing that comes to your head.
Knowledge.
Okay.
I don't want to say money or, things like that. I would say happiness.
I would probably say like money, and even though it's not necessarily like a materialistic thing, probably like your title or your position in life.
I think the object behind the symbol of power, to me, I guess, is money.
Honestly, probably money.
As an American citizen, the ultimate symbol of power to me is our military.
Military is going to be the most powerful symbol that can represent something.
It probably would be guns, just because we do have the carry concealed license you can have, makes people feel safe, feel in power.
What is the ultimate symbol of power? God?
I'm just a common citizen. No political connections, no special power, no prestigious family. Yet, I hold in my hand an object of ferocious power. I could have freed my ancestors with this power. I could have overthrown dictators with this power. I could have stopped a mass shooter with this power. The rest of the world says I'm not supposed to have this power, that I'm too dangerous with this power. But so many people have given up their lives for this power. So, in all of human history, this is an incredibly rare occasion, and I respect that significance.
All right, so everybody has a different interpretation of how to utilize barricades.
Okay.
We're gonna shoot off of it. So we're gonna shoot it from about right here. Some of the shots that you may take, you might actually have your red dot on the wood.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's a little bit different too for shooters, because now we have to budget, do I have that 2.5 inches of offset? Because I'm dealing with an object that's in front that could end up catching that round.
Okay.
We can get into, efficiency of movements and other things, but you're gonna have to find yourself getting into some positions that your body is gonna allow for. So at the end of the day, you may not look or be in the same positions that I am to make it work. So starting on the top. Next port down. A lot of times I'm just holding a squat. From here, I can still get away with it kneeling. You'll see you might have to move up and down just a little bit depending upon your height. These horizontal ones are really a lot more challenging. And you'll see how I kind of kick that foot up just to give me a little bit extra height. To make that shot, my red dot was right about here. Just trying to play to the fact that I want to avoid hitting this and I still want to hit my object down range. So you ready to run this?
Let's do it.
All right. Good hit, nice. Just nicked it. There you go. Take it from a sitting. Good hit. One of the first things that I'll always notice as we run these drills with students is very rarely do any two people look the same.
Yeah.
You took that from sitting. It's problem solving, right? You made it work. I shot it differently than you. People shoot it differently than both you and I.
Yeah, I noticed my brain was working a lot more. The positioning wasn't so much the issue. It was dealing with the height over bore. And then after that fact, once I kind of got squared away in that regard, then the positioning started to become a factor. So my mind was kind of working on two different things because it's like, okay, I see the target and intuitively I'm thinking, red dot on it, hit it. But I'm like, oh, it's a barricade, it's a smaller hole, it's at an angle, figuring out. And so kind of gauging all of those things at one time, it's a lot more challenging than you think than just kind of watching someone do it.
Good shot. Those 6-minute abs are paying off.
In the last season of Noir, me and Lasort came out here and we ran a barricade drill similar to this, except I was running a plate carrier. Now, since then, I hadn't done it again.
So this is a good test of switching shoulders sometimes costs time.
So it was interesting to be able to take what I learned from there in terms of what my limitations were, and then to come out here and then kind of watch you go through them and then kind of mess them together in like 2 minutes.
A lot of this comes down to what we try to tell the students is there's what you want to do, and then there's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Those are two completely different things. There's what I want to do, and what I want to do is everything that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But the reality is I'm really training for the positions that I'm going to end up in. That's the biggest thing that we're really doing and trying to accomplish. This is the position I'm in. How do I make it work?
Yep. So there I sat on the edge of my couch, filled with excitement, ripping into an inconspicuous white envelope like I was expecting $1 million check from the publisher's clearinghouse to fall out. Instead, it was my concealed handgun license. As they say, nothing was ever the same. I still remember how I felt when I actually stepped outside of my house for the very first time with a gun anchored to the side of my pants. When you start carrying a gun, no one tells you about the guilt, insecurity, and shame. I was constantly tugging at my shirt for fear someone would see the massive chunk of steel sitting on my hip and was gonna call the cops at any moment. I felt guilty because I didn't carry with a round in the chamber, comforting myself by saying, I'll have enough time to rack around if need be. But most of all, I felt shame. I had a shame that sat on my shoulders like a hyper-judgmental nun, popping me with a ruler every time I felt the sense of power that the firearm gave me. I applied for my concealed license because I wanted the power of leverage, and now I had it. Now if something happened, I would no longer be just a victim. If someone threatened my life, they wouldn't have a monopoly on power, free to choose whether to spare me or not. They'd have to deal with my power first. But still, it took me a long time to get used to it, and I think that's the way it should be. Fast forward to today, and I've never been more confident while carrying a gun. As I continue carrying, I realized people are too busy on their phones, focusing on themselves, or just simply distracted to notice I was carrying. I got over my fear of carrying with a round in the chamber after months of doing it without one. Most important, I embraced the feeling of empowerment by carrying a gun. These days, most people are taught that feeling powerful is a bad thing, that they can't handle the responsibility. The human life is more precious to me now because every day that gun reminds me of how much I care about my life and the people I love, and that I have the power to defend everything I care about should the need arise. All right, so what do we got back here?
So this drill is gonna be both of us running it at the same time.
Okay.
It's a communication drill. We're gonna fire 4 rounds into the target, the small square. Whoever the first shooter is that is done will request moving. I finish. When I'm ready to move, I will just say move. So there's only 2 words, moving, move. At which point we'll move to the next barrel. So we're doing this basically pairing one another the whole way. At the last barrel, we're gonna crisscross in the middle. So we run to the next blue barrel. I have 2 targets, you have 2 targets. After that, we switch positions, and then we basically fight our way back. So if you started on the right side, you'll end on the left side.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. You ready to get your run on?
Let's run.
I know I'm not, but let's go do it anyways. Job. So, where we need to work on is our communication. So, we go back to what we talked about the other day, anticipation of the shot, and just let the break surprise you. There's no way back there.
Yeah.
My dot's doing this.
Yeah.
So I have to know exactly right when that shot's about to
Yeah,
break.
so it's kind of 5 months. It's kind of shooting on a rhythm.
What we'll do, though, is we'll try to clean up the communication and we'll run it again.
Okay.
Cool?
I'm good for it.
Awesome. Let's go load up.
Moving! Move! Moving! Move! Moving! Move! Moving! Move! Moving! Move! Moving! Move! Moving! Move!
Elevation at 6,005.
Dude.
Get you.
I'm from the South.
Good job.
Maybe you remember David and Ja-Mes from last season. It's safe to say they aren't exactly card-carrying NRA members, but you don't get anywhere on a controversial issue by preaching to the choir. So this season, I invited them back. Now, before I start off, I just want to say your shirt is cute.
Oh, you noticed?
Yeah, I did.
How did you notice? It's just something I pulled out of the closet.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
It just happens, man. Sometimes you just feel like being awesome and right.
In the online world, we call that trolling.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You know what? This shit is gonna get trolling.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
But in all honesty, I invited you guys on here because I wanted you guys to come back and see what we're doing with season 5 of the show, watch each of the episodes, and critique them from your perspective.
Let me be clear. So if you say something that's just completely ridiculous, we can say that's completely ridiculous.
Have you ever needed permission to do that before?
I just want to lay the ground rules so that we can be clear.
You won't hurt my feelings.
Oh, you have no feelings.
Oh.
Unless it's a gun.
Well, what does that mean?
We know how sexy you think your guns are. Like, I know you're
Yeah.
deeply attached to those.
I mean, but you say that as if it's a bad thing.
I said it as if it were a thing.
It is a thing.
Well, there we go. We agree on something. Look at this.
We'll see how
Off to
long.
a good start.
All right, lay it on me.
It was aggressive. It was very heavy-handed. It was very dramatic.
What's this whole thing about the fear of the power of a gun?
Yeah.
I don't relate to that at all. Like, that I want to be subservient in that I reject the idea of gun ownership, so that makes me have some subconscious desire to be subservient. Pull that out for me, unpack that. It doesn't seem right.
There's a thought process that's pretty prevalent in our society that the notion, like I can say something like, well, I want a gun because I want the power to be able to protect myself. And to some people, it's almost laughable. Like the idea of like, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, you could say it in one of the episodes of my show. They're like, what do you think you're James Bond or something? You're gonna pull out your gun if somebody tries to rob you or tries to do something to you?
Well, there's some validity to that thought.
From what standpoint?
Just statistically speaking, a regular citizen being able to halt an active shooter because they were carrying a gun, the numbers are unrealistically low. And yet you get a sense of...
Define unrealistically low considering the number of people who actually use guns to defend themselves.
Well, looking at
annually.
FBI statistics, from 2000 to 2013, there were 121 mass shooting incidents. Only one was stopped with a civilian.
What was the time period?
From 2000 to 2013.
So the only time somebody will ever need a gun to protect themselves is during a mass shooting. Is that what you're implying?
But that's kind of your main drive for saying that they need.
No, it's not.
So whenever you're saying that they're trying to protect themselves from something, that's like one of the main kind of drives that you're pushing for. So if they had guns, then Columbine wouldn't happen.
No. The idea and concept that the main driver in which I'm pushing is that mass shootings happen so frequently that you need to have a gun to protect yourself. Quite the contrary.
Well,
what I typically say is mass shootings account for a statistical zero on a broader scale of things. So
1.25%.
See, but then you see, you're comparing the potential. I'm comparing when it happens.
I think that's kind of what you're doing too. You're comparing the potential. Like, you need to have a gun for the potential. It's not a matter of power to me. It seems very reactive. Like, it comes across as like, oh, there is a potential of a threat. You need to have a gun to combat this potential, hypothetical, possible threat.
There's nothing
so what
hypothetical.
You're saying is there's a false sense of security in that you're
hold on, let me address something.
I think it's a false sense of danger.
There's nothing hypothetical about the idea of someone being in a situation where they may need to protect their lives. That happens every day.
Does it?
What do you mean it doesn't happen?
When did you get shot at today? When did you get threatened today?
I've never had to pull my gun in my life.
Okay, so then it's not an everyday thing.
No, it happens to other people every day.
Okay, well, it also doesn't happen to other people every day too. So that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly.
You can't say that that's the drive. Like, if you're gonna do something this big, like you said that this is power, right? Yeah. And so with power comes a lot of responsibility, right? So if you're gonna dole out this responsibility, you need to have damn good reason for it, and you need to be judicious in your.
So let me ask you this question.
And it's not a responsibility that just everybody should be able to have.
So let me ask you this question: if the chances of you ever needing to use a gun to protect yourself was 1%, right? Let's say it's 1%. Of your life, the entirety of your life. Its possibility is only 1%. If that 1% happens, do you care that 99% chance that you'll never have to use that gun? But if you become that 1%, do you care about the 99%? You don't. But in that moment, in that 1%...
You're talking about the improbability argument.
It's not about improbability when it actually happens on a daily basis.
But it doesn't happen to everyone on a daily basis.
No, it doesn't. But the person it happens to, that is the most important day of their life. So it may not happen to you, but just because it doesn't happen to you doesn't mean that this person over here, what actually happens to, needs to be defenseless. I want to ask you two questions before we kind of wrap this up. To you. To both of you, get out of here. To both of you,
pew, pew.
What do you all consider the ultimate symbol of power?
To me, it's actually funny. I was very surprised by the number of people that answered money. I think, to me, power is more the ability to do something or the ability to affect change or a directed action. So power to me is I decide that today I want to, I want to make the world safer, and I actually go out and do that. Like, that's power to me.
That was my reaction as well when I was viewing those folks, and they're saying money and guns. Really, the ultimate symbol of power is the ability to make your own decisions. Self-autonomy.
Autonomy, that's it.
So basically America.
Sure.
So, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Season 5. And shout out to David and Ja-Mes for being willing to step up and voice their beliefs, no matter how misguided and ignorant they may be. Looking back on it, I was a little easy on them. But stick around for the rest of the season, because that segment will not stay quiet for long. I'll see you next time on Noir.